Have you ever dreamed of the rock and roll lifestyle? Our guest today is going to tell you a little bit of that, along with some other really juicy tales about what makes celebrities as successful as they are. Welcome to another edition of The Good, Bad, and Ugly of Business. I'm your host, Catryn Becker. And in this podcast, we talk about all sorts of different topics with all sorts of interesting people because there's so many interesting stories in the world, and we're here to share them. And we'd love to talk about the failures, the setbacks, the learning experiences that we have, as well as the successes, because behind every mountain of successes are the failures. That's what brings us to the successful mountaintop. My guest today has had an incredible career seeing behind the scenes of rock stars and celebrities, and she's taken that amazing knowledge and collated into what are the steps that you need to be successful in your life. So Tarra Stubbins, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to dive in here and chat about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes, because, for whatever reason, like celebrities, sports stars, musicians, rock and roll stars, they capture our attention in such a deeply profound way. And I think what's interesting and what I really wanted to talk about with you is kind of like, why do we want to be famous?
That's,
And since
that's a really great question.
you've had that dream, I understand. I want to hear about it. And then you've been behind the scenes with these people. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you kind of came into the celebrity lifestyle.
Yeah. And I think too, it's about people, do you want to be famous or do you want to be famous in your own world? So do you want to be the best, volunteer in your parenting group, or do you want to be the best, parent in the schoolyard or on your block, or the best neighbor or the best stay-at-home parent, like something like that, so it all depends on what you consider famous and kind of in your own world. There's a lot of people out there who are like, I do not want that fame of being up on this stage and doing all of that and people following me around all the time, which is perfectly okay. And as we'll get into, I always like to say everybody likes to be I believe that everybody can be the Beyonce of their own lives, whether that again is the best volunteer or the best person in the office, or, whatever that is, whatever your big dreams are, and holding them close and personal as well. But my story started when I was really little. I had a t-shirt that said, "Remember me, I'm going to be a star." And I wore that shirt everywhere to the point where it disintegrated. I really wish I still had it today. I actually said that on a podcast not too long ago, and they sent me a shirt that said that, which was really nice. So I should wear it all the time now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I thought that, and I really, really wanted to be a star. But my problem was, in my very young 7 or 8-year-old brain, I thought that being a star was being a rock star. So singing, dancing, playing a musical instrument, something up on the stage with millions of people watching you all the time. And my problem was, is I had zero musical talent. There is a guitar behind me, but I'm not that great. It kind of sounds like a dying animal when I play it, and always did. And I never had the drive to study and put in the time and effort to make it something that didn't sound like a dying animal. I just kind of wanted to be that star and wanted to be that rock star right then and there. And so I knew that I couldn't do it right then and there. So I threw my dream away, and I thought, well, I'm not going to be a rock star. I'm just going to be this like useless human, like everybody else in the world. There goes all my big dreams. But for some reason, I don't know why, I held on to a little tiny percentage of it. And I walked around with it every day. Some days, weeks, months, years would go by where I would completely forget that I wanted to be a big famous rock star, until those pivotal moments in life came up where I had to make those big decisions of, am I going to go this way or am I going to go this way? And always during those decisions, it always came to me, oh yeah, I wanted to be a rock star. Still can't dance, still can't sing, definitely can't play the guitar. But it would help me kind of steer my decision in one way or the other, thinking, oh, well, maybe if I did this, maybe it will help me with my dream down the line. And I made some crazy decisions. I dropped out of school, joined the circus, as I like to say, not really the circus, but the rock and roll industry. Jumped on a tour bus with people I did not know.
Okay, we have to dive deeper into that because you can't just gloss over like, and then one day I was a roadie. Like,
yeah, I literally, it was right place, right time. But I was young. I was 16, got kind of into the like music scene in town. And there was a band that was kind of leaving and needed some help with, getting coffee, and they were living out of a van. It wasn't even a tour bus. It was, a van life across Canada. And I was like, I'll go with you. Sure, that sounds more fun than school. So I did. And the thing that set it apart for me was that, sure, it was a cool experience, but I actually really, truly loved helping people. And I understood that right then and there, that getting their coffee and cleaning up their tour buses and doing all this kind of gross, very, very junior assistant work, I absolutely loved it. And it wasn't because I was surrounded by these quote unquote famous people. They weren't famous, but and kind of living the lifestyle. It was truly because I loved helping people. And that's why I continued on doing what I was doing and wanted more of it, and wanted, okay, well, that was fun, but like, who else can I help?
yeah.
So that's, and it was all because of my dream of wanting to be a rock star. So yep, definitely wasn't a rock star, but I could surround myself with people who could be rock stars, and I could do what I could do best, and that was help them be the best version of themselves.
So I have to ask, how did your parents react?
Yeah, it wasn't great.
As a parent of a teenager, like, like
yeah, and this
imagine.
was like late 80s, so early 90s. So yeah, no cell phones, no.
Yeah. You didn't have like a tracker or anything.
Nope. I didn't really give them a choice. I don't recommend this to anybody out there. I do recommend following your dreams. And sometimes school, I did go back and go to school and have a college education, but at that time in my life, it wasn't what I needed to do. It wasn't what was meant for me. And I really do tell everybody that I talk to, is the most important thing is to hold on to your dreams, and don't let anybody tell you that it's stupid, it's crazy, you can't do it. Absolutely. Why are you believing that? There's a famous quote that, well, I don't know how famous it is, but it's by, I don't know, an anonymous person. And I absolutely love it. It's my favorite quote. And it is, if anybody tells you that your dreams are silly, remember that there's somebody, a millionaire, walking around who invented the pool noodle. And I love that. Like, imagine going to someone and be like, I'm going to invent this styrofoam long thing that people, float on in pools, and I'm going to make billions of dollars.
It's such a good point. It's such a good point. And, the people that, poo-poo our dreams, those naysayers, they have different dreams, and their dreams are not for me, and my dreams are not for them. And that's okay. But I think the thing that I really love about the story, and especially when you're saying, you had to do some non-glamorous things for this dream, is that sometimes that's part of what it takes to do the dream. And you being so clear in where you wanted to go gives you that motivation to do those things, instead of being like, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, it wouldn't be what they signed up for. And that's okay. You can leave and you could go on to something that you do want to pursue. For me, it was exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be getting coffee and cleaning out vans, and sleeping on like the side of the road for my entire life, but it was something, a stepping stone that I could use for something that I was building in my head of what I actually wanted to do. And
Yeah.
it took me a long time to figure out what I actually wanted to do too. I kind of had bits and pieces of it, but I don't believe that anybody has like a big, huge, massive goal that's fully formed until you kind of start getting into the process.
Yeah, we hear the saying like you're building the plane in the air, right?
Yep.
Or, building the runway as the plane is taking off. There's a lot of that concept that the next step gives you more clarity on the next step. But you have to take the step in order to see where that next step is. So it's a lot about faith as well.
It is. Being around, I talk about this all the time, being around all the, famous, successful people that I get to surround myself with on a day-to-day basis. I notice things about what they do to build their success and maintain their success. And one of the things that is very common with, and I would say every successful person that I've ever met has this, it's that they create their own motivation. So they don't sit back and wait for that lightning strike moment that's going to come at one point. They keep moving forward and they keep, creating that own motivation. Even if they don't feel like it that day, they're going to go out and they are going to do what they have to do to get to the next step of their goals. And I really, truly believe that's what sets people from being successful apart from the people who struggle to achieve their goals and to become a success. And I don't mean like big businesses or even, being billionaires, even those, goals and that we talked about at the beginning. If it's, being the best volunteer or whatever you want to be, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis, even when you don't feel like it, to actually achieve that big goal?
Yeah, I think, it's very popular to talk about manifestation. And I think that's the thing that most people get it wrong is they think, oh, I just need to envision it in my mind and then bam, there it is. And it's exactly that. You have to have the dream plus the action to actually manifest those things. So that's really
Exactly.
great that you had the experience of watching it in action. You had the action of them in action to see how they made these things. So you mentioned that the original band that you were with was maybe not so famous, but you have been with other more well-known names. Can you share some of those stories?
I sure can. So I spent many years with the Rolling Stones and chasing Mick Jagger around the world for 2 world tours.
Wow.
So that had its moments. We'll leave it at that. But one thing that I like to share, one of the fun stories is I did sign a ton of NDAs, so can't talk about a lot of them. But one of the ones that I do talk about is one of his big requests was every single city he stayed in. So every hotel, which sometimes was every other night when we were on these, whirlwind world tours, he wanted the hotel rooms to be painted a very specific shade of beige. So, yep. And again,
Okay.
I learned very early on in my career not to ask rock stars why they do crazy stuff. You just don't, you're like, okay, sure, I'm good. I'll do it. So yeah, so we were, there was this one time we were in Shanghai in actually, sorry, not Shanghai. It was, in India, in Mumbai. And we were in a very, very old hotel, like ancient hotel. And we were staying in he was staying in the presidential suite. And on the wall was very old, thousands and thousands of years old, gold leafed wallpaper. And we had to take that down, paint the walls beige, have him sleep in the room for 2 nights, and then put the wallpaper back up when he left.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And so people ask again, why? I don't know. I can make a very educated guess, and I truly believe it's around habits. So another kind of thing that I have realized that kind of makes people successful and makes successful people stand out from the ones that are and they aren't is that successful people form habits. Now, I'm not telling you to go paint your walls beige to become a success or to ask people to do that. But it was something that he could control. It was something that he could make feel like home. We were gone 300 days a year in a new city, a new country, a new continent every day.
Yeah.
So it was something that he could go in, could kind of feel normal to him, which was hard to do when you're a big rock star. He could do whatever he needed to do in the hotel room and get ready to, perform the best darn show for all of us every single night. So that was something that he had to go through, that kind of habit that he needed, superstition, other people can call it, whatever it is. I see it with some of the sports stars that I support, and they always know, some of the hockey players will put their left skate on, wait 3 seconds, and then put their right skate on. Again, I'm not telling people to form these like weird, superstitions or habits or anything like that to be a success, but it's just something that gets them in the mindset to be able to do what they need to do, and that's perform and be a success.
Yeah, I mean, there's something truly to getting in the zone.
Yeah.
The zone is a real thing, and being able to get up there um when you're speaking on stages or giving a presentation or any of those kind of things, the mental resiliency and preparedness that you need. So it makes complete sense that they would have that. And especially you explaining the beige room and thinking of like, he's never home.
Those are his homes, except the beige. Why beige? It was so... To this day, I cannot have beige walls anywhere around me. I kind of do right now, but yeah, no, those have to go immediately.
I mean, for a second, I thought you were going to say he painted them black.
Yes, yes. Paint the red door black. I do a lot of keynote speeches, and people will always yell out in the audience, depending on the demographic.
Yeah, if they're old enough to know those songs.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm just aging myself. Oh well.
Yeah.
Just, don't look at the gray hairs. It's fine.
No.
So you mentioned about having a very clear vision, taking action to get it, forming habits. What are some of the other things that you see around these very successful people that they do that help them be more successful than the average person?
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. So as we talk about, what these very successful people do, and I kind of mentioned it at the very beginning, we have to understand that we are all our own individual person, and we're all have our own individual goals and beliefs and day to day that kind of drives what we're doing.
Sure.
So I get a lot of people. I do a lot of coaching for people who want to set big goals and figure out how to actually achieve those goals. And I have a lot of people who come to me and say, well, I've read this book of this, famous person, successful person, and I copy their morning routine from, exactly, but I'm not a success yet. And so, it's great for that person to be able to get up at 4 a.m. and play golf and meditate and journal and do all of this. It's great for them in their stage of life and what they are doing. It might not be great for you and me and anybody else. So it's figuring out how you operate and what, you are willing to sacrifice. I think there's a big belief in, I as an entrepreneur or someone who's building a business or someone who's, going after these big goals, I only have to do it 8 hours a day, and then I should be able to live my life the other way I want to, which is fair. But I also believe that you can only get so far being able to kind of balance the two equally. And you need to figure out, what do you want to give up to be able to kind of propel that other goal or version of yourself forward. So
you really have to be like embodying it all the time.
You really do. And I think it took me a while to figure that out. I was always trying to figure out the best work-life balance, or be feeling really guilty that my friends wanted to go out, but I actually wanted to just sit down and work on my business or help somebody else. But oh no, in my 20s, I shouldn't be doing that. I should be going out and partying with these people or whatever it is. So I always had this pull of, what was actually right to do. And so my big advice is don't listen to anybody else, listen to yourself and what your like big goals are and what you want to achieve. So that's number one. Don't try to copy everything that everybody is doing.
Well, and I think that's because a lot of people get caught up in the how, just like you said, like they're copying the how, but they're not copying the why.
Yeah, it's very true. But you don't want to copy other people's whys. So you definitely want to have your own why. Yeah.
Right. And people don't know their whys. They don't know their purpose. They don't know their dream. They don't have clarity around that. So it's like, well, that sounds like a good why. So I'll take it. I'll adopt it for myself.
Or they force it. Failure.
Yeah.
I find that they force it too, because they hear, well, a why should be about me giving back to someone. So I'm going to say that I want to make a lot of money because I want to give back to the homeless shelter, and they'll just make it up. But that's not really their actual deep down why of why they want to be rich or why they want to be famous or whatever it is. I also think that money beliefs and success beliefs get in the way too. So people will think, well, maybe I don't want to be that rich or that successful because too many people will follow me around, or successful people did bad things to deserve or to gain their money, and I don't want to be that person. Right. So it's really thinking about like what your beliefs are and being able to kind of get past those to be able to really achieve your goals as well. And your own goals.
There's such subconsciously harmful phrases like, money is the root of all evil. Things that people don't.
Or money doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much scarcity and so much generational trauma that people bring into it around money. And it's so interesting. I find
I find in the female like entrepreneur community too, it's not enough of let's help each other out because I need the money or I need the success, and if I have it then you can't have it. And I'm on a huge mission to bring as many female entrepreneurs and leaders and people who are just doing amazing things together to be able to share in the power of let's do it all together. There is enough to go around.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have a format in which you do that?
I don't. I just talk about it a lot.
Well, you've got that spark of a dream. It's there.
I do.
Podcasts are great avenues to do that kind of thing.
It's true.
It's all a journey. And I feel like every time I feel like, okay, I've made it to that next level, there's always something new to overcome and new to learn and new edges to find and to grow from. So it's such a, like, understanding that there's never like a quote unquote there to reach. That helps so much. And just being like, no, the journey is the point.
Yeah, it's true. I always look back on my journey and think that I wish I took, it's something that I regret about it, is I wish I took a moment to actually stop and go, oh, this is cool. I'm on a private jet, or I'm at this, amazing exclusive VIP event that nobody knows about or will ever know about unless you're invited, or, I'm surrounded by all these famous people, where I just think, and I used to think, what's the next step? And that was my job, to always think, 5 steps ahead, but I never once took a moment to go, oh, this is cool. And it was, a lot of my career was before cell phones. So, or, the selfie moments. So it wasn't let's take a quick selfie.
You don't have all of them documented.
No. So I definitely regret just kind of sitting back and taking those moments of like, oh yeah, this is a pretty cool part of my journey, instead of actually always thinking, what's next? How quickly can I get there? How quickly can I get this done?
Yeah, I have a good friend who's her family had a restaurant in Beverly Hills for many, many decades. And so she has all these stories of all the, celebrities that would come in all the time. And she says the same thing. She's like, we didn't think to take pictures with them. It was just part of it. Like it's just like, oh, so and so's in again, let me get them their favorite meal or drink or
That's
whatever
probably
it is.
why they kept coming back, is because they weren't hassled for the photos by the staff. So
Probably. And
Mhm.
it's kind of like a thing like, and I don't think anyone does this anymore, but like asking for autographs. Now we
Yeah.
just ask for selfies.
People ask for autographs and then they get them tattooed on them
Oh,
sometimes,
that's a whole nother level.
or like sign my hat, sign my t-shirt. You see that a lot. People handing them up on stage sometimes. So yeah, but not as much. Like there's no like autograph books like when I was really little.
Yeah, that's what I
I used to
remember
have one.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you'd keep
Yeah.
it all together. It's the world is always changing and we never know. I mean, could anyone have predicted like that we'd have these cell phones that can do everything?
No. I
Every
remember
math
my
teacher ever being like, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Guess what? I remember I had a family friend who, well, a friend of the family who was creating or trying to create the world's first video phone. And I just remember that was like the coolest thing. I was like, that is never going to happen. Yeah, it was this, and you'd go over to his house, and it was this massive contraption he would have that would take up the entire dining room table. And it would all these cords and everything to do video conferencing.
Oh,
So,
that's so
yeah.
funny. That's so funny. Well, as we're kind of wrapping up our conversation, Tara, I've enjoyed this so very much. But talking about the future and things that we don't always know what it's going to be, but what is the dream that you're pursuing now? And, kind of where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That is a great question that I ask myself on a daily basis. And I really don't think that we ask ourselves that enough. As I said in the beginning, we kind of think of a goal and we go, okay, yeah, sure, that sounds cool. And we kind of forget about it.
Mm.
But I'm constantly asking myself, what do I want to get out of today? What do I want to get out of this week? What do I want to get out of this month, year, 5 years? And depending on kind of what I hit or where my life takes me, it's ever changing. So, talking about good, bad, and ugly, in 2023, my business Take It Easy had not so great of a year. We were actually doing really well from 2021 to the beginning of 2023. We were 13, 14 times in our business year over year. It was an awesome ride. And
Mm.
then problems happened internally at the business, that some were out of our control, some were in our control. That's a whole other podcast. But the business almost tanked to the point where we had to let a lot of people go. I personally had to sit back and think, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Do I want to continue doing this? Who am I as a leader? Who am I as a business owner? So
Mm.
I took a lot of the beginning of this year, 2024, to be able to kind of figure all of that out, which I really didn't like. It was super stressful watching the business go from, a lot of money per month to not so much. But I take that as a really amazing opportunity to learn, to grow, and to kind of figure out the next steps. So if you were asking me what my journey was at the beginning of the year, I would have said something completely different than now, as I've kind of reflected on kind of what happened and what I want to do moving forward. So I do want to rebuild the business to where we were at the end of 2023, but I want to do it holistically and obviously more sustainably as well, and really bring in and work with people who are really wanting our services and not just anybody with a pulse who we were kind of helping, who it doesn't work. I'm here to tell people it really doesn't work. So I know I didn't really give you a big like this is what I want, $1 million by or an extra $1 million by the end of this year, but that's what we're really striving for the end of this year.
Well, that's beautiful. And it does change. I mean, it's one of those things where you have to set those big goals, but then you also have to be flexible in the, day to day, because sometimes the path that we think is going to lead us to that goal isn't always the one that ends up getting us there. I feel like it's kind of like that movie Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yes.
Where she ends up in the same place at the end of both stories, but you never know what's the path that's going to get there. So for the Take It Easy group, your company, who are your ideal clients? Like, who are you looking to call in more of for the rest of 2024?
Yeah, so we work with highly focused solo founders or small teams who are really driven on the next level of growth and success. So people who have big goals and are really wanting to do whatever it takes to hit those goals and to go to the next level of success. So we are a team of fractional executive assistants and chief of staff. And so we can really help come in and operationalize logistically and administratively people's goals and dreams and businesses.
I love that. So you guys work hard so that they can take it easy.
You got it. Take it easy on the right things so they're not busy on the wrong things.
That's right. That's right. Because there's so many things as business owners that we can get bogged down on. I was just talking to someone yesterday who, has a very great professional career, and she wants to start a more like holistic wellness business and just has no idea where to start. And she was getting so hung up on some of the details that I was like, that will come. You don't need to worry about what AI tool to use to make your video content. Like, just make the video content, but you need to know who you're serving and, getting clarity in those kind of places. So I think that's an absolutely wonderful service that you offer. How can people get in touch with you?
TakeItEasyGroup.com. On socials, I'm Tarra with 2 R's, Tarra's Time.
And why Tarra's Time? Where does that come from?
Because I am extremely passionate about helping people realize that they can achieve their goals just by managing their time more correctly.
So true. So true. Because, time is such a lovely thing that can be very moldable and mutable. It doesn't have to be as fixed as the clock would lead us to believe.
Yeah. And we're all given the same amount in a day. So Beyonce is given the exact same amount that we're given. So again, if she can do it, we can all do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that seems like a beautiful place for us to end. So Tarra Stubbins, thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed our time.
I did too. And to the listeners, thank you so much for being here. I know you picked up some valuable tools on different ways that you can use your habits, use your time, and use your actions to get what you need in life. If you want more of that, please reach out to Tarra. All of her information will be in the show notes. Until next time, everyone, take it easy.